Check. Okay. Tanya, Inside Out, Tough Shin, Hey at G4, up to chapter 6. But I was just saying, I brought in a new guy to revamp Reclaiming Sanity, so we can you can contribute to it. Yeah. Within about 12 hours, I had to turn people down. $1,500 to redo the whole thing.
I cancel mine?
And we got a tip. No, you're part of the original. And we got a tip for the guy who's going to do it.
You said bonus. I figured that was like a bonus to the. But they get
so
original crap. But I didn't get the originals. I need sanity. Sanity now.
Yitzi Cat's got. He was. You snooze, you lose. Yeah. Anyway,
it's hard to compete.
So I brought.
You heard that, Yitzi?
So I brought in. So I brought in this guy, a dear friend of mine who I love deeply. To do the thing. It's basically you cut from the original doc, you run it through ChatGPT. Yeah, I created the prompt and everything, and then you cut from there and paste it into a new doc. So it's going to be a whole new text, and it's more easy to read, a little bit humorous, but yeah, spiced it up. Yeah,
with pictures.
No pictures. No, just maybe we will, but not. But this was just cut and paste. Yeah, how simple does that sound to you?
I mean, as a technophobe, complicated.
Yeah? He didn't, my friend, didn't know what cut and paste was. He didn't know cut, copy, paste.
I still can't do that.
So I just wasn't expecting that. Like he said, I'm not like, he didn't say like, I have no idea about computers. He's like, look, I'm not like a he's like, I'm not, But I had to come up with like analogies, like moshalim and like ideas to help him process cut and paste, and I made a decision as it began. As I saw him using the mouse and not knowing how to highlight and stuff, and literally not knowing how to highlight and things. Yeah, I saw that and I made a decision right at the beginning. Okay, I'm going to be infinitely patient. Because if I hadn't done that, yeah, within like 4 minutes, there would have just been like a broken computer and like. It would have been terrible. So I made that, and I like went through like for an hour, and I just grew I feel like a whole new being, literally. To be so patient with someone for something that by Teva you've got zero tolerance for, I feel like I could like take on the world right now, mamash. So that was just a side point.
You did an actionable thought. I'm going to be patient.
But at the beginning, I decided you're not, and I said to myself, like when I used to shoot weddings, yeah, the worst thing in the world is when the photographer is creating lachats and stuff like that. Yeah, so I'm never going to, if anyone's late, I'll say it's fine, it's all good. We've got plenty of time. Always, that was like. You make a haklata that that's it, and you can do it. If you're not sure, then you can't, yeah? Mm-hmm. So at the beginning of the whole process, I decided infinite patience, and there was a few times when I like had to clench my fist and like breathe deeply. But once you've gone through it, I'm just saying that is real growth. That is real growth. It's like in the gym, like Arnold Schwarzenegger tells you, like when you get to the 100th, yeah, and then it starts to really hurt, that is when it begins. The 100 reps, or by me it's like 5, but the 100 reps until, that's what it means by the one who learns 101 times isn't comparable to the one 100 times. Because the 100 times is just to get you to the point where all the fibers are tearing, and then they tear, and then they rebuild stronger. So until that, the first 100 that you were just doing, that was just a hachana for the 101st. So it's only, and that works exactly the same in Midas and the Ikka by patience.
I heard a line,
Yeah, go on.
Some athlete was just recently, he said, this young kid, and he's first picked in the first round. He said, what do you attribute your success to? So he said his mother told him that if he ever finds himself lifting the most in the gym, find a new gym.
Exactly the point. Some guy said the same idea. He said if you're the cleverest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Right.
Did you? Yeah. But anyway, so I just feel just like, that's a big chizuk. That's a big chizuk for me. Okay, we're chapter 6 and we're discussing the human soul. Yeah. Some people call it the animal soul, but it's more helpful to call it the human soul. It's the chalik of the Jew that is of creation. Okay, a Jew is composed of a animal soul and a godly soul, yeah, or a human soul and a divine soul and neshama. The definition of a yid is a human being with a neshama. Definition of a goy is a human being. So we're discussing that element of us, which is for all intents and purposes the ikka element of us. If you're a normal yid, that's basically nearly all of us. Your default perspective is from the eyes, through human eyes, and the difference between you and a goy is the difference between, as we said many times, is the difference between a kosher piece of steak and a treif piece of steak. For all intents and purposes, you can't smell the difference, you can't taste the difference, you can't see the difference. You feel the difference in your pocket, as you said a couple of times. But other than that, they're identical. The difference is that one can be elevated and one can't be elevated. Okay, and that's exactly the inyan by our humanity is the avoider of the human, the avoider of the Jew in the world, the ikka, is to elevate his humanity. You might think that you're elevating the lulav and esrog and the shtender and the parchment and that, and you are, but within every mitzvah that you do, because when you shake lulav and esrog, you're not being ma'aleh cows. And when you put on tefillin, you're not being ma'aleh peirus. Yeah? But in all of the mitzvahs, you're being ma'aleh your humanity. That's the ikka gift, so to speak. The ikka korban that we're doing. The ikka korban that we're offering, mamash 24/7, is, and especially on Shabbos, is our humanity, especially on Shabbos.
But when you explain it like that, it sounds like a guy could also do that, right?
So no, because the
lack of mitzvahs, or
well, that's a gilui of the Indian. The avoider of the Umas Olam, the way I understand it, is to create a world. They are not here to elevate things to the Creator. They are here to create a world that we could elevate to the Creator. That Yisrael is the glue between. That's why we are a chalik of creation and a chalik of Creator. We are the devek that sticks creation to Creator. So there needs to be a creation. That's the avodah that Umas Olam. That's why Hillel summarized their entire avodah as the Laich Sanach V'Echloi Savid, which is the golden rule. The Goyim call it the golden rule. And like we said before, if the Goyim let go of God, yeah, as we've said many times, the Goyim being into God is never been good news for the Yidden. Never. Yeah, let the Goyim. Huh? Look at what happened 2 years ago. I don't think.
That's because of their belief. But if we change their belief, they're supposed to be Muslims.
What's the benefit?
The
The Shem does not have a commandment. It says, "Don't avoid the zara, don't be makalel Hashem, yeah, don't kill, nirf, gezel, eva min chai, and batim mishpatim. No anoichi Hashem. There's no, and it even said, I've said this a bunch of times, but this is my I think that the Tanoim were kind of having a joke with, is that when it says don't be makalel es Hashem, the actual Russian is lo levarech es Hashem, and then it has in brackets always, because it's Russian Sagino, it says lo lekalel. But the actual, if you look at it everywhere in the Gemara, in the Rambam, in the Chinuch, it says lo levarech es Hashem. I just think that's a little joke. That's like a Chazal joke, meaning leave God alone, leave Him alone. Lo levarech means don't be makalel Him. Yeah, and don't worship Avodah Zarah.
Which means have a connection. Yeah.
It doesn't.
You
You should say Anoichi Hashem. We also have Don't Be Kalel Hashem. We also have Don't Be Avodah Zarah, but we have Anoichi Hashem.
What are we supposed to be? What is Orla doing? What?
Great question. Listen. That what does it mean Anoichi Hashem? What's the mitzvah Anoichi Hashem? You writing a book about it, no? To have emunah,
Believe that I exist and that I am.
here to serve God, or that God is. I mean, it's a bit vague, yeah, a little bit vague. For the first commandment, if I was writing a book, I would put a very clear thing. All it says is I am. The Pasha thing is Hashem says I am God. Why doesn't it say you should believe in God? Because I'm telling you, brackets God, that you need to believe in me. It just says Anoichi Hashem. Be Pasha, yeah. Why? Because whenever you choose to believe in God, you're believing in some kind of surah that you've made up in your mind. It could be very, very elevated, but it's going to be some kind of figment of your imagination. Okay? This is very important. I don't know if we're going to get to the chapter now, but this is very important. So let's understand the difference between seeing and hearing. Yeah? Hearing is comparable to the Goyesha Emunah, and seeing is the Yiddish Emunah. Is read the beginning of Oz Yosher in Pesukei de Zimra. Yeah? Everything is you see. What?
Why does the Gemara say Shema?
Great question.
Say Shema Yisrael.
Yeah, that's a great question. And why does
That's
the
Gemara Bava. Gemara Yerushalmi says
I know.
the Zoya says Tachazi. The Yerushalmi also says Tachazi, yeah?
Yerushalmi says Tachazi.
Fine. Okay, good. That also makes sense. I didn't know that. Thank you for teaching me that. Okay, so if we understand the inyan of seeing and hearing, then we might have a Pesach into understanding all these questions. This is a fundamental. This is like just Yiddishkeit 101, mamash. What's the difference between seeing and hearing? Okay, number one, what's higher? The faculty of seeing or the faculty of hearing? Remember, you are a diagram. It's more than that. You are a representation of all of reality. The map of all of reality is called Ak. Yeah, Adam Kadmon. Yeah, which is a tzur of a mensch. Mamash, he's got a top of his head with hair, he's got like a ponytail, he's got ears, eyes, nose, mouth, yeah? He's got arms, he's got a belly button, he's got nipples, he's got an ava with an attire, he's got legs and feet, and it's mamash. You open up the Oitzvus Chaim, and the beginning of the Oitzvus Chaim is the Oirus coming. Well, answer the question, which one's higher? Which one's higher on the kuma of a mensch, the ears or the eyes? It depends. If you go like this, your eyes are higher. If you go like this, your ears are higher. Yeah? So they've both got an advantage and a disadvantage. Yeah? And the Oitzvus Chaim begins with Oirus coming out of the ears of Ak. Yeah?
And also, we can only hear Hashem, we can't see Him.
Yep, except for Hasina, where we actually saw him, which was the beginning of the relationship. Like, you're not allowed to marry a woman without seeing her.
No man can see me.
Well, yeah, but it said we saw the koilus. That was the inyan. It was. You're right. You can't see Hashem, but it was an experience of re'iyah more than it was of shmiyah. Yeah, our avodah now is a avodah of shmiyah, not re'iyah. Okay, so I go to. It's like 500 years ago. Yeah, I travel now to Australia. Yeah, I go through a torturous, 10-week voyage. I get to Australia, there's no one there, just the Chabad.
As usual.
As usual. But I don't go to the side of town where the Chabad is. And I have my experience, and now I come back. Yeah, and I explain to you that I saw this creature that's like this, it's like a massive mouse. Yeah, huge mouse, like 6 foot tall. Yeah, it's got like big ears. It's got these like little hands at the front and these massive, like powerful legs, and it's mamash jumping. It jumps from place to place, and the wackiest thing is it's got like a pocket on its tummy, yeah. And sometimes you see like a little one of the thing in his tummy, like peeking out, yeah. And I come back to you and I explain this thing to you, yeah. Now you're going through an experience of shmir right now. You're hearing what I'm saying, and what you're going to do. This is really important. Really understand this, yeah. This is really important. Is what you're going to now do is you are going to piece together a picture of this creature in your mind using pre-existing images that you have already in your mind. What else could you do? You're going to attach them in a novel way. And you're going to be like, that sounds wacky. And you've got this picture in your mind of something, yeah? Okay, scenario 1. Scenario 2, I pull out my iPhone and I check this out. You're like, wow, that's nuts. What's the difference, like conceptually, what happened from me explaining it to you b'chinas shmiya and me showing you b'chinas re'iyah?
When you hear, you have to create it. You have to create it in your own mind. You have to formulate what it could be. When you see it, this is what it is. Now go beyond that.
You said
The Shmiya is
What?
Shmiya is b'chinas. We spoke about this before. Impregnating you with a thought that you're developing, right?
I hear what you said. Let's not go that direction. We'll say much easier. Sorry. Shmiya is you take the idea and you bring it to your kalim. Re'iyah is you take your kalim and bring them to the idea.
Nice.
That's it. That's the difference in Re'iyah and Shmiya. That's why our national mission began with Re'iyah. Because we had to get taken out of our kalim. Shmiya is bringing X to you. Re'iyah is bringing having you brought to X. Yeah? So Goyish Emunah is Bechina Shmiya. Meaning that they create, and I've read some very elevated books from Goyim, some really elevated books from Goyim that are deep parish on books that I read from Yidden. Yeah, I don't know why Hashem did it like that. I used to say like Rahman al-Islam, but I stopped saying that because it's what Hashem chose to do. So some of these books are tremendous parish on. Like books like Sefer Tanya and Shai Yichud V'Emunah, yeah, where he's explaining Yichud Hashem. Reclaiming sanity is, and I'll go out on a limb to say this, and I'll say it on record, is reclaiming sanity is the deepest parish that I've heard on the human inyanim in Tanya. Nothing to do with the godly inyanim, yeah, which is a lot of the Sefer, but the human inyanim in Tanya. Reclaiming sanity is completely aligned with it, mamash, and not only completely aligned, he explains things in our language with Perush and Moshul that open up this sefer in a way that I don't know if any other sefer has done that. And then you have to ask the question, why did Hashem do that? And and I'm not comfortable with that, but call it spade a spade,
And you don't want to mention his name, obviously, because you don't want people to.
You don't need to. If you're here listening to the shir, then listen to my shir. You don't need to go over there.
Right.
You don't need to go
See what it
to.
rhymes with.
I have a dear friend of mine, who described reading Goyish books as drinking water from a toilet. Good Goyish books. Good Goyish books. Don't get me wrong. There's not good. Thank you to describe. There's not good Goyish books. So there is, and that's exactly what I made with Reclaiming Sanity, because I cleaned the bowl and I took out the tumtsis and I got.
I have a friend, just the guy I spoke to you about before.
Yeah.
The reason I reached out to him is because on his stats he said he's starting a new WhatsApp group that he's going to be giving over lines in Power Now, and he wants to create a whole community around that. So I told him there's actually a kosher version.
Yeah.
He says I prefer the non-kosher one.
Oh, so that. Okay.
So one thing you've mentioned before is that when you say Shalei Asani Guy, it's not that Hashem didn't make you Gandhi. It's that Hashem didn't make you Gandhi.
Yeah.
Not some.
Exactly the point.
Yeah.
Meaning we're not. It's not about. Because we caught in such a chetzonius matzah, that is what galus is. Galus is being caught up in chetzonius. We just think that Yiddishkeit, who's the best Yid, is the one who does he sleeps 2 hours, he davens 7 hours, Shemona Esreis, he's constantly he never stops speaking Torah, he's fire, yeah? He's the Spitz Yid, yeah? He might be, but that's not what makes him the Spitz Yid. That's a personality type. You got Goyim who are like that. Elon Musk is a pretty put together guy who doesn't waste a second of time, yeah? He's not Halig. That's a personality type. But because we're so caught up in Chitzonius, what else do we go by? No one knows there's anything else.
Wim Hof.
What?
Wim Hof.
He's an extreme person, yeah?
Extreme.
Who's that
Mamish.
guy? You can't hurt me. What's his name? That guy.
Oh, yeah. Goggins. David Goggins.
David Goggins.
I love that book.
guy's a beast.
After 80 pages, it was enough. But that 80 pages, it's like a 300-page book.
Yeah.
I didn't need any more than 80 pages. But that was just a man. Like, I remember a kid when I was mamish, I must have been 15 or 16 at school, and one of my friends was beating up this little kid. Yeah, at my age, a 15-year-old was like had this little kid with his arm twisted like a 12-year-old. I'm just watching; it was fun, yeah. And this kid just wouldn't. I was saying, he's gonna break your arm. Like, just do what he wants. Like, no. And that stuck with me forever. That's this Goggins guy, you know. That's just it's a personality type. It's a personality type. It would probably be that a tzaddik would be very intense. Yeah, good chance of that. But that isn't what makes him a tzaddik bichlal. You've got the Goyim, again, you've got the Goyim from October 7th. You had however many there were of them. 5,000 Rishoyim, all ready to give up their lives to kill Yidden. Ready to give up their lives to get caught, and they also knew they were going to get caught, put in prison for years, not just die. All of them were prepared for that, yeah. But that's what we think Yiddishkeit is. Just try harder, push. I've heard big Yidden say that. Just push harder, more Tehillim, more Shemona Esrei, learn more Dafim of Gemara, Shalom Aleichem.
Don't have chant on midweek.
Yeah, break yourself more and more.
This is a new psak, by the way.
What's that?
Sean
they
on
came
Thursday
out with
night.
psak.
You saw it, Rabbi
You can't have
Zilberstein.
chant during
He
the
said no or suggested?
He suggested not to.
Who joking?
I think Rabbi Zilberstein said no.
Not one.
Yeah, but then he
Don't
came
eat
back
challenge
when
during the
they
middle
told
of
him
the
that
week.
all the
Takes away from the gadlus
yeshivas
and
eat
Shabbos.
challenge. He said no, it's okay.
Tasting Shabbos. I'm tasting Shabbos.
So, okay.
Oh, whatever, it's not for now.
Yeah.
So it's all the same thing anyway. So
No, but I have a question. Going also, I mean, if Hashem is everything and Hashem is infinity, then going also Chelik.
Right.
So,
that's not that's not a correct statement. Like,
if Hashem is infinity, everything, Domet, Someach, Chai, everything is
Tov.
part
So
of
then
it.
everything's kosher and Eish's
I didn't say
mutter.
kosher. I didn't say kosher. But higher level is one thing, more connected to the infinity, more connected to Ensof is one thing. But they also have the Chelik. The Chelik, maybe it's not the same Chelik, but they also have the Chelik.
All there is God. That's not
Exactly.
that's not a platitude. That's not
Exactly.
poetic. That's reality. Ein
Right.
od milvadoi.
Right.
So that's what you're saying. That there
Including
is,
this one, including-
of course, there's nothing other ein
Right.
od milvadoi.
Right.
The Torah says it over and over
Right.
again. But we're not that.
What
That's
about the Fum Sarah Adra?
wait.
Jumping.
So
30
so
words.
no. These are. The point of what you're saying is the role of the Jew is to show that there is no chiluk between finity and infinity. Or even, if you want me to say it more tightly, there's no chiluk between finity and infinity and God. Even infinity is a construct that Hashem created. To call Hashem infinite is as incorrect as calling him finite. Yeah, he's not categorizable. He's infinite is the opposite of finite. It's saying that it's not created. It's in context of finite. That isn't God. Yeah, there's madregas of God that we refer to. Maybe or Ein Sof you could call infinite, maybe.
Sorry,
Yeah,
that's,
the infinite
that
life.
guy.
But the Ein Sof itself, to call it infinite, is a mistake. So again, it doesn't really help that it's true. It's 100% true, but our goal is to play the rules of this world. We're here to play the rules. Like I saw, like I think one of the biggest tragedies in the Olam HaCharedi that I'm in is this kind of intolerance for working. Yeah, and in the most place in the Chassidic places where everyone works, it's still a bit effort. It's still pretty effort, yeah. And then Kol v'chomer in the Litvisher places, it's worse than pretty effort, yeah. It's a nebuch, a rachmanus, yeah. And so here in Israel, yeah, basically, yeah.
Okay.
And
Better in America.
and that's a tragedy. That's tragic because the avoider, not that everyone needs to be working, but the avoider, the heiligkeit of working, which means you're playing the rules of the world, yeah, the rules that Hashem set up. Like by the Yam, when Moshe was davening to Hashem, and he's like, shut up, man. What are you doing? Get on with it. Yeah? And like he was davening to heal Rashi says, why did he use only 5 words for the tefillah for Miriam? Yeah? And Rashi says, because the Yidden were going to say, why you do something? Why are you spending so much time davening? Go and do something. Yeah. In both, I mean, so I was listening. I was reading something the other day, and so he said he drushed this idea of when it says, Hashem says to Moshe at the Yam, stop shouting at me, and he says, this isn't a time for davening. This is a time for shevach and hodah. I'm like, no way. No, the Boy Sholem wants you to actually do something. He wants you to fight. He wants you to be Mekadesh, the laws of Teva. That's only a Yid can do that. Only a Yid can do that. Who can actually be immersed in this, let's call it this fake world of Teva, and play the rules of Teva, and bring Elokus into those rules of Teva, as opposed to just trump the rules. Like we said last week, the reason why the Geula Shalema is going to be infinitely greater than the Geulas Mitzrayim was because by Geulas Mitzrayim, Hashem trumped nature. You didn't learn that God was the sea at Kriyas Yamsuf. You learned that God had power over the sea. But you didn't learn what you were explaining, that God is also the sea. By the final Geula, and when we understand how AI fits into the whole thing and all of this natural, whacked out stuff, all of this very natural thing that you ask a big guy in Google and he will show you how from Alexander Graham Bell and electricity we now have chatbot GPT. He could explain to you how it worked. First we developed this, and then we developed this, and we developed this, and it's just like an apple falls through a tree. That's called gravity. That's how the world works. There's nothing miraculous about that. That's just the world, unless you want to say the whole world is miraculous. But that's the avoid of the... And so we're going to see that it's not that Hashem has power over the sea, it's that Hashem is also the sea. That's the final revelation, that we're going to see that all of nature, he's not going to trump nature, we're going to see how nature was in on it. Mm-hmm. That's how avodah as Yidden is being in the world, mamash, without that. That's what it means. Our feet on the floor and our head in the sky. That's the avodah of the Yidden. That's why we're called an Am Segula, which is the Am Kadosh is the interface between creator and creation. We're here to show that there is no chiluk between creator and creation. And that's really what Manis is trying to. This whole thing with Manis talking about that Hashem needs us, and then you've heard this whole thing going on online, So the minute he says that, then you have the Chevra say, you've got the Misnagdim who say, shut up, you koifer, you machshemoy, Then you have the much more elevated Yidden who will say to you, listen, he's talking about Yehuda Tatar. And when you get to Yehudi Ilah, of course there's nothing you can do for the Bojan. He's perfect, he's b'shleimus, he's infinite, what can you add to him? There's nothing to do for him, What Rav Manis, to understand it, is trying to give over is that there is no chiluk between Yehudi Ilah and Yehuda Tatar.
It's just our perspective.
There's no chiluk between. I don't know any other words to add to that. Maybe what you said is right. I don't know.
According to him, because there's no chiluk, we are able to tap into it in our avoid in the daily avoid, right? And then kind of make a mitzvah.
There's nothing to tap into. What you just said there is like a statement, like you said before. You've got 2 twins in the womb, about to be born, and one asks the other one, is there life after delivery? And then that one turns around and says, and you know what, I think we're going to meet mother. I also think we're going to meet mother after delivery. And the other one's like, shut up, man. I've been hearing about this mother thing for years, for months. I never seen her, I never smelt her, leave me alone with mother, We're not, and to say that we're inside Hashem is also inaccurate. There is nothing. This isn't something other than Hashem. saying we're inside him is maybe a step in the right direction. We're not a particularly purposeful step in the right direction.
Hashem needs us also is not true.
Any statement about God is not true. But it's just as untrue as Hashem doesn't need us. What we're going to realize eventually, and this is really in response to what you were saying, is there's no chiluk between Olam Haza and Olam Haba, between the Bria and the Boire. There is no difference. It's not like there's this creation and then there's God. And you know how close he is? He's really, really, really close. That's the toast that we're going to have rectified by the Geula Shlema. He's not closer to you than your face. I like that one. That used to comfort me many years ago. Hashem's closer to you than your face. That's like, wow, he's really close. No.
Yes,
he is your face, and he's your sense of closeness, and he's your... See, we say by the Rambam says, and the Mekubalim agree, that who are Yudea, who are Yadua, and who are Dea. Yeah? He is the one that knows. He is the one that he is what knows, what is being known, and the power of knowing all in one. So by us, so right now there's me, I'm looking at you. So there's the one that sees, there's the ability to see, and then there's you. Those are three things, yeah? In Hashem, that's one, which is a tricked out statement. So the moshel the Tanya gives to help you cut that a little bit is when we're talking about seeing, there's me, there's the ability to see, and there's you. But when we talk about the idea of feeling cold, it's just a moshel. Try and understand it. It's a helpful moshel. It's different. Feeling cold is I'm cold. There's not the me and the feeling and the cold. It's one thing. Mm-hmm. That's Hashem's knowledge of us. So the ego, yeah? Everyone says what? Edging God out, yeah? So I think that's really helpful as well. But another really helpful way of the Notrik and the Rosh Hashanah is Elokus gone off. Your sense of self is the most hailig thing there is, because there's only one self. Yeah, and that's Anoichi Hashem. So the Yid is not commanded to believe in God, because if you're commanded to believe in God, it's going to be some kind of formulation or picture that you create in your mind. Yeah? The statement Anoichi Hashem is a description of your essence as a Jew, the description of your God, of your Yiddish essence. Yeah. Now that's called the neshama. Let's call that the neshama to make it easier. That's called the neshama. But there's madregas in the neshama. So everyone knows what the highest chelik of it's not a chelik, but the highest whatever of the neshama is called. The yechida. Yeah. What does that mean? That's the chelik elokai. That is the place where the neshama and God are one. Yeah?
It's not a chelik.
Well, I don't know how to say it. That really, I think that is what we call the chelik elokai. It's God. There's no real words for it. Yeah? But this is the point.
Isn't that
Yeah?
a contradiction to what you were just saying, though? To say that there's one place that's chelik elokai minal, that the whole thing is God.
So exactly. This is the point.
Even going.
Wait. Let's stay with this. We've got there's the structure. The neshama has a structure, yeah. Like we said, the yechida, the chai, the neshama, the ruach, and the nefesh, yeah. And that breaks down into spheres and into all different halakim, yeah. It's a complex construct. It's not just a fluffy, godly thing. The essence of it is God Himself. Let's say, does that mean God as an Ein Sof, like that we spoke about before, that isn't even infinite? Yeah, no, because that's everything. Like we said, we're talking already in the world of manifestation. Okay, so that's the answer to your question. But the creature that we call a neshama. Yeah, it's not a nivra, it's a netzo. It's not a creation, it's an emanation. Yeah, it's from Tzila, it's not from Bria. Creation begins at Bria. And why this is just the most helpful way of understanding it, and Chazal did it with such unbelievable sophistication and finesse, is they called Olam Bria What's the code word for Olam Bria? You know?
Malchus?
No. Code word for Olam Bria is Olam Kisei. The world of the Kisei covered. You've heard of the Kisei covered? So the covered then refers to, if the Kisei is Bria, and it's the Kisei of covered, what's the covered referring to?
Malchus.
Oh, above Bria.
Yeah, of Atzilus. And you learn, you understand what the whole thing is. You don't even need to parish here. What's covered? Covered is something that it's like the sun, the shine of the sun is called the covered of the sun, yeah? Is it the sun? No. Is it not the sun? No. You could like write a thesis. Is the sunshine the sun or not? Well, if you make an interruption between the beam and the sun, it dies. So it's of the sun. Yeah, but it's not because you've got the orb of the sun. Okay, keep thinking about that. And that's the paradox of reality, yeah? So Atzilus is not something separate from him. Is not something separate from him. Whereas the Kisei, that's something separate from him. Now, if you want to go back to your, but it's all one, yeah, you're welcome to do that, but that's not how Hashem wants us to deal with the world. Yeah, we're trying to, once we've got Shema Yisrael clear, now the Avodas Bruch Shem Kavod Malchus Le'olam V'ed is understanding exactly how this world teaches us about the oneness. You with me? It's a manifestation of the oneness. It's like the single white light that hits the prism. The white light, you can get a kind of feel for it, but when you really get Bucky in all the colours that are coming from it, yeah, that gives a deeper relationship, for want of a better word, to the actual white light. So Bria is something separate from God. Again, I appreciate that it isn't, but it is. Okay? The Bria is called the Kisei covered. This world is called Hadam Raglav, or the base of English is called Hadam Raglav, his footstool. So the Kisei receives from his backside, from the Acharayim. The Kisei, what touches your Kisei? Yeah, your tuchus. What?
The keister.
Yeah, exactly. That's the part that interacts with the actual Kisei. Why? Because the hashpah that comes to the Kisei is Acharayim. Meaning does... What?
Back this tefillin.
Everywhere you see back, it's the same Indian. That's Elohim Acherim. That also is the same thing. Yeah, that the energy. What does it mean? Energy that's Acharayim. The difference between energy that's Acharayim and energy that's Panim. Panim and Acharayim.
Intimacy. Back with intimacy.
Separation.
Yeah, but that's true. But that's not helpful. That is true. What?
The separation, barrier.
It's when you have a relationship, a panim or panim relationship,
Back.
you're in it for itself. When you're in a back-to-back relationship, it's something you can get from it. Meaning it isn't important, it's a means to an end. It's a difference between ends and means to an end. It's like the difference between davening Shachris and setting your alarm to wake you up for Shachris. One you're doing as a means to an end, one is an end unto itself. Yeah. So is this world an end unto itself? This world is necessary so that we can understand the Yichud Hashem. So it receives from his back part. It receives from his back part. So the Kisei are covered, which means creation, is something separate from God. That's how we have to relate to it. Except for when we're saying Shema. Yeah? And if we become really, really talented and really we do the right work, we put the right energy in, you will, like David, got to the point where he was deeply involved in this world and he was never involved in this world at the same time. He was deeply involved in this world and he was absolutely bound up in reality at the same time. And that's really the goal. So now
You were really going into the difference between Re'i and Shemiah.
So the Yid, the essence of the Yid comes from Atzilus, which is not something separate from God. Yeah, it's godly. Yeah, that's why the Lubavitch Rebbe always used to speak about Elokus, and then in Lubavitch they talk about godliness. Yeah, they're talking about Atzilus. Yeah, it's a nice way of saying it's helpful. So the Yiddish neshama is a netzal.
So what?
A netzal means to call it a creature is not the right thing, but let's just as a concession to the language, it's a creature from Atzilus, whereas the goyim are nivroim. They are, and don't forget, we've also got a very strong chelik of nivra as well. That's our human side.
It's everything besides the neshama.
Exactly, and yeah, it's everything else. Now, in the neshama, there's madregas as well. So, but they're like I don't really understand that enough. That's very complicated. Huh?
There's 70 forces of the neshama.
I mean, the basic breakdown is 5. There's 5 madregas and there's 4 madregas, and however it works. But this is the point: is that the Yiddish relationship to the Boyne Shalom is bechinas re'iyah, and that's the simon of Shema. Why'd you put your hand over your eyes for Shema?
Cover the radio.
Why don't you close your eyes? Just close your eyes. What's the better? Say close your eyes. I close my eyes. Why did you put your hand over your eyes? What's the benefit of that?
Possibly you could open up your eyes. It's another shield. It's another shield.
Okay, so we can say that. Okay, if you're happy with that, then gesundheit, yeah? Or you can understand what it's really getting to, that this is called your kaf yad. Kaf is bechinas keser, which is the yichidim of the neshama. That's the godly. That's God, yeah? So what we're doing in Shema is we're looking into our hand. We're looking into our hand. You can only do that with your eyes closed, which is an experience of God on His level. And now what's the avoider? The avoider is Shema Yisrael, Hashem Echad.
Why do Sephardim do this then?
No, it's Shin Dalet Yud.
Ask, I don't know. You have to ask them. The Inyan,
No, I know.
the Inyan is the
See
kaf
what you're
yad.
saying.
Okay,
They wanna be different.
The Inyan is the kaf yad.
I like doing it. I just do it.
I used to do that. I used to say that. Well, then until I understood this, then I stopped doing that.
I like this.
But say that. Try and understand because it's very helpful. Yeah, that the avoider of the yid. What are the 2 big letters in Shema?
Shin and Dalet.
Shem.
Shin and Dalet.
2 big lessons.
2 big
Letters.
Daled is a Daled.
A daled.
And
Shin.
then
Shin.
Aleph. An
An iron and a daled.
Iron and Daled.
Loshan aid. Aidus is only with re'iyah.
Or Da.
Opposite way round. That's a very important thing to understand. That is da. Das is the opposite of re'iyah. That's the milah of shmiyah. Okay, we'll get there maybe.
Right, because you're hearing the witnesses.
Das is when you become it. Seeing it, that's why we were over on the Chet Egel like a minute later. Because seeing it doesn't change, it brings you to that thing, but it doesn't change you.
That's what
The
I was
minute
saying
you stop-
before, the shmiya is more powerful because it's like an Uber.
The Shmiyah transforms you. That's
Right,
why.
but then
That's
why is Yisrael, it says with Yishmael?
wait. Let's try and understand before you can. You have to be careful to open up more tabs. When you sit on the computer, you have so many tabs open. You forgot what you're doing. Try and focus. Yeah.
Proverbial tab.
And then you open new windows. Then people bring in a second computer as well. And then people, it's important to stay
Then
on.
you
the,
get ChatGPT.
and then you stay with the tab. So what I'm saying here, it will teach you on. It's applicable throughout everything. So this is a foundation. So the avodah of Shema is Shema Yisrael Hashem Echad. What are the letters that are said before Shema if you're by yourself? Kel Melech Ne'eman, which is Loshen Amen, which is Emunah, which is really, which Rav Ginsburg, it's a Chiddush from Rav Ginsburg, Shlita, but he calls that the Yechida of the Neshama is also divided into 3 parts, so to speak, and the spitz of that he calls Emunah. The soul of the soul of the soul, he calls that Emunah, which is very helpful. And that's the Emma, that's the Amen before the Shema that's not even said, it's so sacred, when you're with the minyan. And then you put your hand over your eyes and you're now looking, you're bearing Eidus. It's Eidus, meaning we all stood and we saw the Rabbeinu Shloilem. And that's what we're doing right now in Shema, is we're looking into the essence of our soul, the kaf, the keser, and now comes the avoider of the yid. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, is bringing that into reality, yeah? So we say, V'yahavta es Hashem Elokecha, love Hashem b'chol levavecha, b'chol nafshecha, b'chol mo'idecha, yeah? Let's just say that that's talking about. No, let me just look at the words quickly. Because the journey of Shema is the journey to the most outer stretches of creation, the furthest part of creation. Okay, 1 minute. The first paragraph. Okay, which is the inyan. Okay, yeah. So Shema is bechinas bina, is intellectual, is your mind, is your moichin. Yeah, that's bringing the re'iyah into the mind. Shema. Yeah. V'yahavta is the inyan of midas. Yeah, that's now taking from the intellect, yeah, the Chabad, and bring it down into the Hagas, Nahi, yeah, bring it down into the midas, yeah, into the Avrin Yira. Yeah. Now we say Vahu Devarim Ha'ele Asher Noichi B'Tzav Hayom Al Levavecha. That's machshava. Yeah. V'shinantam Levanecha V'dibata Bom. Yeah, that's speech. V'shivtecha B'Yisecha V'lechtecha V'derech Shochem Kumecha Ukshatam La'ois Al Yedecha. That's now bringing it into the level of Maisa, of action. Yeah. That's going now out further from your goof to the psachim of your house. Yeah, ubusharecha to the fot. That is the entire. That's why we say Shema every day. That is our job description. You think that Chazal just, it's like, it's cute, nice. Shema's one, They did it as it's our mission statement, mamash. They were just clever enough they cut Stephen Covey. They were miscovered to Stephen Covey, 2,000 years later, that you need a mission statement, you need to read it every day. That's the entire avodah of Am Yisrael, is from the experience of Har Sinai, which is you looking at God himself, which means you not having some kind of picture, some kind of human image of God. You got taken to him, but that's not a kunz. Because that's what, after that we did the Chet Egel. The avodah is now to take that edus and turn it into das. The hischafchas of the ayin and the dalad into the dalad aleph. What does da mean? What's das? That's too your friend probably would like that word. Yeah, das is identification with an idea. Das. When you know it, when an idea falls into your dust, it means you and the idea become one. That's what it means. You and the idea have merged with each other. Your sense of self and the idea have the borders have become fuzzy, just like something you're identified with. Yeah. Like for example,
so going back to all the way in the beginning, you asked what's elevated, shmiya or re'iyah. So the answer
is yes.
Yes.
Exactly. But you need the shmiya without re'iyah is human. The goyim never saw the Rebbeinu Shalom. That's the difference on a practical level between us and the goyim, is the edus that we saw him without eyes. Whatever we saw him on Har Sinai, and that's why all he needs to say is Anoichi Hashem, not Ta'amin Be.
Harkening back to the
that's who edus. You are. That's who you are. Yeah, that exactly the point. Lifnei miata, lifnei to the panim of the me, which is the yam. Yeah, ata oimet. Yeah, it's all in there. Every chazal you see, everything's in every chazal you see. Mamash.
No, when you said about connection, I remember. Maybe it was in Tanya that I was reading.
Say a little louder.
I'm trying to remember. I think I was reading. I think it's maybe Perek Shlishi in Tanya. If I'm not mistaken, that brings down the word da'at, where we look into the original use of the word da'at, the Adam, da'at Chava.
Right.
That's the
means
connection.
Merging. It means merging. Right. Yeah, exactly. This is kashrus. It means becoming one. That's the avodah of marriage, is becoming one, not merging into something, like you're into golf and she's into golf, or you're into shopping, she's into shopping. That would be merging into something. The avodah of marriage, which I think is only accessible by Yidden, is the merging into one another, the essence of us becoming one.
We are
Yeah.
into golf.
Yeah, that's a very human thing. That's a madrega of humanity. Anyway, so the avodah of the Yid is the experience that Yisrael had of the Rebbeinu Shalom at Har Sinai, which was us getting taken out of our humanity. That's Pircha Nishmasam. We got taken out of our humanity, taken to Him. The whole avodah now is bringing that into the world. You with me? This is a lot of learning. This isn't, if you're feeling it a little bit, that's good. But to really get this needs a lot of chazara, yeah? A lot of chazara. Masha Ein Kain, the Umois Olam. The Umois Olam, their emunah is b'china shmiya. Because they never had the Eidos. So, well, what do you know about God? Well, look, there's this guy called Stephen.
Seagal. Hawkins.
There's a guy called Stephen Seagal. There's also another one called that.
COVID.
Stephen Myers. Stephen C. Myers. He wrote a book called Return of the God Hypothesis. It's a magnificent book. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. It really is amazing. It's a real schlep. It's like a 600-page physics book. But he explains stuff for like normal people. And he's brilliant. I'm definitely not allowed to say that. And he believes in God. And he gives you 3 rayas. Yeah, the 3 rayas are the beginning. The universe had a beginning. Yeah, the fine-tuning of the universe, and DNA, which is a language. Yeah, and he goes to town on those 3 things, and he shows that this is just for you to not think that there's an intelligent creator. It doesn't get you much further than that. But for you to not think there's an intelligent creator behind this world is just really silly, to be honest. It's just silly. And it's very convincing. Amazing book. So he really believes in God. Why does he believe in God? Because he said, look, the world had a beginning. So, well, where did it come from? Yeah? And the world is so finely tuned that it's like 1 in a squillion chance that there could be anything. Yeah, so, well, someone probably did that, That's too fluky. Yeah? And then DNA, which is a language where he says there's never, ever, ever been an example of a language that doesn't come from intellect. Never.
Doesn't come from internet.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a language that has ever been discovered that doesn't come from an intellect. An expression of intellect is language. Yeah? The expression of so he comes along and he says, listen, look, I'm a good guy, I'm not particularly Taivadik, and it seems to me that there's a God. How did he come to God? He looked at this world.
Yeah.
And through Shmiya, he listened to this world. He listened to this world. He looked at this world and he came to a very intelligent conclusion that there's an intelligent creator. You don't learn much more than that, yeah? But that's a start, yeah? We have Masorah. We're the exact opposite. We have Kabbalah. Meaning, if you open up the Otzvus Chaim, open up the Priyetz Chaim, open up the Arizal, and you'll see that. So let me just backtrack. So Stephen Myers is saying, look, there's a world. There's a world. 100% there's a world. Yeah. Now I'm going to extrapolate from that world and follow all of that multiplicity, that rainbow of light. I'm going to follow it back, and I see there's a piece of white light. That's very good. He probably did what he was meant to do there, yeah? Very much, I believe. Open up the Otzvus Chaim, and what is it? It's the exact opposite. Stephen Myers is saying, yes, the world, and I'm going to extrapolate and believe in God. Mm-hmm. The Arizal says, yes, God. How does the world exist? That doesn't make any sense. And so he spends pages and pages and pages and pages explaining how we have the world. You hear how that's the exact opposite?
Yeah, reverse engineering.
They're going we're coming from here down. They're coming from down up. That's why they call the Umos Ha'olam. We're called the Am Kadosh.
Discover the world through discover Hashem through the nature. Avon Avinu.
Who did? Seder, but that's not Yisrael. He wasn't Yisrael. Yisrael was Ma'amad Har Sinai, when we got taken to God. He was the Goy, and this is what
He's like Myers.
what does it mean, Lech Lecha, Mi'atzecha? What does that mean?
Right.
The Lubavitch Rebbe said, we understood it. Lech Lecha Mi'atzecha, Me'moladetecha, Me'beis Avicha. He said like this: go from your land, go from your place of birth, go from your father's house, yeah? He said like this, you understood it. Go from your land, your oretz, that's Loshen Rotzon. Leave your Rotzon, yeah? This is exactly your question, yeah? Leave your Rotzon. Then go from Meladatecha means your midas, your habituated behavior, yeah? Mebeis Avicha, yeah, Av is Loshen Chochma, go from your intellect. So he's saying, leave your rotzon, leave your emotions, and leave your intellect. What's the question? Avraham was givoldik. All he wanted to do was bring people closer to Yiddishkeit, to Hashem. Yeah? His heart was, his tent was open on four sides. He was the Baal Chesed.
That's why it was an assign for him, because Hashem said you have to go away.
But why
from
would you
all
want him to leave? Why would you want him to leave
Right,
it and
so
go
good.
away from your mind? He was the most intelligent person. Exactly your question. He used his mind to discover God from this world. He was like, on that sense, lahavdil elef alfa elaf. He was a prototype Steve on that Madrega of the mind. He was Stephen Myers, lahavdil. Yeah, the Baruch Shem says this is great. You mamash passed the test of being human. Now you're going to be the man that I make Yisrael. Forget all of that. That's not who you are. You're Yisrael. And you can see that from what did Hillel say to the Goy? Yeah, the Goy comes to Shammai and says, "Be Megayami standing on one leg." And Shammai chases away with the Amos Abinyan. Yeah, you have to think about that. The Amos Abinyan. Then he comes to Hillel and he says to Hillel, "Be Megayami." That you teach me how to on one leg. Hillel is Megaya him. And then he says the famous words, Da'alaich sani lechavercha lo savid. And what's after that? Ve'idach perushahu zilgamah. The rest is perush, now go and learn. Yeah? You can understand it like this. This is what Hillel is. I'm giving over Hillel's vort. Yeah? What he's saying now is he's saying, listen, humankind is about the golden rule. Yeah? Use your intellect, the alayich sani, yeah? Extrapolate from the fact that you're a Metzias to the fact that he and he and he and he and he is a Metzias. Yeah? That's called the golden rule. And therefore don't do anything. Then you get a Gandhi,
That's
you
the
get a
golden
Stephen
rule of
Covey,
humanity.
and you get an Avram. Not an Avraham. You get an Avram. Yeah, that's an Avram, and that is an amazing Madrega. That is an actualized human being. That is something to behold. Gandhi, again, you're not allowed to praise the Umaysa Olam. But there are members of the nations of the world who are mamash something to behold. Yeah, they've actualized. Let me finish. Sorry, let me finish. That they've actualized their humanity. So Hillel says that Allah to the Yid. He's just become a Yid. If he was actually talking to a Goy, he would have stopped there. Finished. But to a Yid, you say, Ve'idach perushahu. Now get away from that. The rest is to be poresh from that idea. That's called being human. We're done with human. Zil Gamar, now go and finish yourself. Become Jewish. That's the difference between a kosher piece of meat and a treif piece of meat.
Nice.
That is exactly the point, is that what does it mean that my meat, this flesh, yeah, is kosher, and Gary Smith from Peckham, his flesh is not kosher. The difference is that meat is available, is good. It means good means I appreciate another person. That good means I appreciate that you're real. And the Umos Olam can be good, and in fact that's their avoid, the way I understand it, is to become good. Become good means to appreciate other human beings as being more real as real as I am, and maybe getting to the Madrega of like Gandhi, where you're more real than I am. But that's all in the world of humanity. That's all in the world of creation. What's the avoid of the Jew? The fact that the Yiddish Nefesh comes from Klippas Noiga means it naturally appreciates another human being. Naturally, don't get me wrong, you can take on a Teva Sheni, yeah, most of us have, yeah, where you stop doing that. But the default factory settings of the humanity of a Jew appreciates another human being, okay? So that can't be your job description then, because that's who you are. What's the avoid of the Jew? Is to come to recognize the Creator. Is that your humanity should recognize the Creator. That's your job description. That's called Ibud Oirus. Yeah, Ibud Oirus is the putting of the, that's the avoid of the mikveh. That's the avoid of the mikveh, is you take the mikveh is Ibud Oirus. You take the disgusting hide, yeah, what's it called, something like whatever it is, the unworked hide, which is the most revolting substance there is, yeah, and you put it in sid, and you make it, and what does it become?
And so on, right?
What?
They used to put it in excrement.
Then is sid, is limestone, but they also, yeah, there's all stuff. I don't know the process, but the point is, what happens is you take that most disgusting physical. What's more? You ever held a hide or you've been to a tannery? It's the most disgusting, smelly. It's just kulu gashmias. It's kulu gashmias, and it becomes the cloth for a Sefer Torah. That's the avoider of the Yid, is taking the goof and making it ru'i, not disregarding the goof, but making it ru'i to be makabel, the oisius of Torah, in a natural way.
Don't throw out the klipa. Don't throw out the klipa.
Use the klipa.
That's the job description of the Yid, is transforming klipa to kedusha. To be
It's not a klipa anymore.
And exactly.
It's
What's
not
the difference?
substitute.
Look
We're
at this.
extracting the klipa. We're releasing the klipa.
This is kadosh, and this is klipa. They're both kadosh is a kli. It's just a transparent kli. So when I say look at this, you're looking at water. When I say look at this, you're looking at a cup. So the goal is, and that's the inyan of chol. I just had this chiddush this week. What's chol? Which Rabbi Shimon buried himself when he was learning Torah. Yeah? He came out of the chol to daven, because davening isn't according to the avoid of this world. He spent the ikar time in the chol. What's glass?
Transparent.
Glass is chol. It's sand with intense pressure and energy. Chol is the 6 days of the week. Chol is the riboy. Chol is by definition a riboy. It's a multiplicity. Yeah? It's taking that and having it become, not disregarding it, not running away from it at all, is actually turning it into Kedusha. And it's great. We've actually learned chapter 6, because this is the Ikka Eitzah from the Tanya. There's two ways of turning the keli, this klippas noiga keli, this piece of flesh. There's two ways of turning it, making it kadosh. There's what he calls the long way and the short way. The long way describes in chapters 16, 17. The short way in chapters 18 to 25. Yeah.
The short way is.
Yeah, the short way takes. Sorry, the long way. Yeah, the short way takes much longer. It's much harder to understand, and the long way is much easier to understand and much shorter. The long way, bekitza, if I can say it standing on one leg, is using your mind to transform your inner world. In the same way that the reason why when you look at half-eaten lollipop on the floor, you're repulsed, and when your 1-year-old child sees a half-eaten lollipop on the floor, he's like, lunch. Yeah? The difference is, Yediyah, you've got more knowledge, and therefore that thing has actually been poil your midas. Yeah, that's called the long road. Why is it called the long road? Because that's a lot of work, man. That's learning the right things, having the right discussions, talking to the right people, governing. That's a big avoider. That's a really big avoider. Yeah. The short path is, he says like this: you would give up your life for God. So then live for Him. Do His mitzvahs. They turn around to that guy, you turn around to the crack shop, Wall Street guy, and you say to him, you love your kids? He's like, yeah. You'd give your life for your kids? It's like, yeah. So like, why haven't you seen them for 3 weeks? It's like,
I'm building for their future.
I hear that. Yeah. If you love your kids, then spend some time. Spend a little bit of time with them. Yeah, that's the short path. The short path, the short path is fix your behaviour. How do you fix your behaviour? Realising you give up your life for the word Shalom, so now act in accordance with Him. That is the short path to changing this into something kadosh. Good behaviour. If you want to fix your behaviour, start behaving properly. It's a very different idea. The good behaviour feeds back into the system. You identify with the behaviour, and slowly, but quicker than the long path, slowly, your inner world starts becoming more godly. And you stop doing aveiros and you start doing mitzvahs. And that's the idea of turning the chol into glass. And that is a chazara of the whole inyan. And like we just said, just to summarize Re'iyah and Shmir, which is what we're trying to get to, is the avodah of the Yid is Shmir.
Only because we had
exactly.
Re'iyah.
You can't do Re'iyah. That has to get given to you. Your avodah is the Shmir. The avodah of the Goy is Shmir exclusively. The avodah of the Yid is Shmir after Har Sinai. It's a completely different avodah. So we're working from above. To us, the Creator is for sure, and the world is efsher. I have to work that out. Now I'm going to have to spend some time figuring out how the hell there can be a world. By the Umas Olam, the world is for sure, and now I can extrapolate to a creator. But he's going to be a human creator. Even if you're a really high level physicist, he's still going to be a God made in your image. That's what he's going to be.
The Avodah of Baal Peor was exactly that kind of issue.
Exactly. There's a lot of
Making
more
a
stuff as well.
spiritual
Why were we
image of
excrement?
God.
Excrement is worshipping of excrement, which we said is the
I have a little problem with it, just to understand it.
Yeah.
Because you said from the Arizal said, yes, Hashem, and then we got to figure out how the world is. But the only reason why you're saying yes, Hashem, is because you see the world, because you exist.
That's the Re'iyah.
That's by a goy. By a Yid, we had Har Sinai where we saw the Rebbeinu Shalom. Once we saw reality, now we're like, I see it, I know it's true, but I need to work this out, because that doesn't make any sense. I know reality. That's that's what you're looking into your hand, is a reconnection to that, the kesser of who you are, the spitz of who you are, kaf yad, yeah? And that's why we shake hands. Look, yo, shake my hand. What's a handshake? Everyone knows a handshake. It's our essences touching. That's what a handshake symbolizes. It's a universal symbol.
That's why Chinese people don't do that.
They have no essence. They're just part of their God.
They're completely so far away that it's just, I don't want to touch you.
So that explains why Shema is so important, really.
Shema is your mission statement.
Yeah.
It's know your mission. It's your mission statement, and you have to chazar it at least twice a day, 3 or 4 times if you've got Rebbeinu Tam when you should go to bed. It's the first parak of Shema. It's a chazara of the whole system. It says like this. We'll finish on this. We'll say it on one leg. Yeah. Okay. I saw God. Mm-hmm. Now I'm going to get that into my head, and from my head I'm going to get that into my heart, and from my heart I'm going to get that into my thinking. From my thinking I'm going to get that into my speech. From my speech I'm going to get that into my actions. From my actions I'm going to get that into my house. And from my house, I'm going to get that into the backyard and the world at large. That's the message of Shema. It's clear in the words once you know it. Okay, shkoyach.